different decades of age. Seredius is correct on 1. All right, so you're pretty close. Pookie is in her early 60s. Alex is in his late 50s. Despite being a couple for many, many years, they do not live together, and playing WoW is how they spend time together. Aww. Well, that's really cute, though. That's cute. I believe they both know they are not great players, as during the large amount of time they spend in-game, they don't do any content like Mythic Dungeons or Mythic Plus. But what they do...
I should have slaughtered you in your
That's really cute,
malformed
man. If I can have someone who talks, if I'm 60 and I'm single or whatever, and I can have a lady or to talk to, or just play games together, that's super cute. I'm fine. But don't fuck the raid over.
Shall be free.
Right? Bit of respect. If you shit, back of the box.
But I remain unconvinced.
Hit your old ass down there.
Time has come.
Ain't carrying you.
The moment is at hand.
Joke, you know what I mean? I don't really hate elderly people. I know at least 3 of them. Come on, give me a break. Well, instead of doing dungeons or Mythic Plus, they'd rather spend time farming mats. Pookie was the official feast maker for the raids. And it was described in Officer Chat, is that how she, and this is the correct term, this is very British, earns her keep with the guild. This is never challenged. This is not allowed to be challenged. In fact, new raiders were always brought on knowing this information. Anybody who did actively challenge the status quo of the situation had always historically been shown the door. Don't fuck with the OG's guild. Yes, this is when it dawned on me I may have been in a cesspool. Oh no. Now, let's bring it back down to our boy Parnham, the tank. Parnham was also an older guy, late 40s, early 50s. So when he joined the guild, he and Alex quickly hit it off talking about that soccer. Which of course meant he was introduced to Pookie. Like these 3 old time, oh my god, it's like listening to a darts team in a club, thick with cigar smoke. You know the one. The guild always deemed itself and marketed itself to trials as casual, heroic guild with a social aspect. Despite we were blatantly carrying people in the raid team, we had good giggles. I had made some pretty good friends in my 18 months in the guild, so I guess I just let things slide as I was probably afraid to leave this community that I was now used to and comfortable in. I told myself the raid team can get better. As long as we get curved, which is our goal, we will be fine. Especially with players like myself, and of course, Pinjuk. We had taken a few tentative steps to help people improve. We had brought in some things like logs, WoW Analyzer, Whitefest. I don't know what Whitefest is. In hindsight, though, we should probably push for sweeping changes that we all knew the guild needed. Let me tell you guys our final Uldir pull count for Heroic. I actually expected this number to be higher, I'll be honest. It's hard for me to wrap my head around, but you don't raid that much. Zool was 34 pulls, which is still a lot. Still a lot. 34 pulls for Zool. 33 pulls for Mithrax. 92 pulls for Gahoo. That's not a great deal, but they only raid twice a week for 3 hours at a time. And you've got to imagine them not running the most efficient ship, right? you got to wonder they're not. You got to imagine they're not running the tightest ship when it comes to raiding, right? Now we move on to a section that I like to refer to as the shitstorm, the Battle of Dazar Al-Ghul, released, of course, in January 2019. Because of how late we got ahead of the curve here, there wasn't too much of a break between Uldir and Battle of Dazar Al-Ghul, which possibly contributed to what was about to happen. I used the time to re-roll to a Holy Paladin to cover the gap in the heals. I maintained my rep spec just in case. We started the Battle for Dazar Al-Ghul on the day it came out. We spent the week in normal to get some easy gear. We we ended that very first week 7 out of 9 normal. I don't think that's strange though. If memory serves, wasn't normal mode boat boss broken? Am I right? No, they're missing, I forget the name of it, Boat Boy. Yeah, normal mode Boat Boy was broken, right? Yeah, I remember. I remember normal was harder than heroic or something. Heroic was broken? You sure? We killed heroic on the first day. Stormwall Blockade, yeah. Stormwall Blockade normal, I think, was harder than heroic for some reason. I can't remember why. Yeah, it was harder. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. It was that. Normal mode didn't have the debuff or something. Was that it? You couldn't clear the pools on normal? Was that the thing? It was something weird like that, right? It didn't give you, it didn't let you clear the floor or some bullshit. Anyway, then of course it was time to head to. Chat, would you like to guess how many pulls it took to defeat Champions of Light Heroic? The Champions of Light. The easiest boss in the dungeon, right? Wrong! Wrong! Champions Heroic took my guild 17 pulls to down. 17. The reason? Honestly, he'd been a decent tank so far. But when it came to this fight, I don't know what it was. He stood in every ground effect. He took the waves of light so much that it looked like his character was at a disco. And when we did eventually kill him, in that 17th pull, all 3 healers, including Pookie, ended up with a 93 to 97% healing class. That is a war. That is a fucking war. Little did I know. Oh god. Yeah, you've got a bad tank. Monkey boy. Oh no. Little did I know we were just getting started on the road to hell. Grong was up next. You want to guess the number? He's checked the add-ons. He's got a number for us. I have the screenshots. We have a figure. I can give you a clue. Before you throw a number out there. Grong was up next, and it took 3 weeks to kill Grong Heroic. It took 3 weeks to kill Grong Heroic. Luna, like a shotgun, although Jose Marino has brought it home. The wipes capped out at 64. 64 wipes to heroic Grong. The cracks were really starting to show. Parno just didn't understand the tank combo. No matter how many times it was explained, no matter how many times we showed him the video, he just didn't get it. He just didn't get it. And we were wiping over and over and over just due to this.
Their fury
That raid that spent 3 weeks on Grong was purely down to one man, Mr. Parno. By the time we killed it, all enthusiasm and joy about raiding had been siphoned from our
my
raids.
long hunt is finally over. Today, justice
all
will
going.
be done.
Although the guild would limp on in one way or another for another month, it was damaging to morale. During this time, Pookie had started to complain. We are undergeared. That is why the problems exist. We're too undergeared. And what we should be doing is re-clearing normal to get better gear. Okay. A side note for those who may not remember the Battle for Azeroth changed the raid loot system in the game. Master loot no longer existed. Thank you for the reminder. Everything is personal loot. How did this affect us now and not previously? Well, this change had impacted Pookie heavily. In previous expansions, the old guards of the guild, including the ex-raid leader, very much protected Pookie. She was the OG, she was the Grand Lady of the guild, so they would help her by prioritizing her when gear dropped. Fuck that. It didn't hurt either that her partner Alex was the loot officer. Fuck that. So Pookie was able to do okay healing compared to other healers because she was constantly overgeared. But now the loot system change in Path of Azeroth had really disrupted this process. Pookie was no longer overgeared. Pookie was no longer able to keep up with the healing. Hence why she was now suggesting that we should go back to do normal mode.
You know nothing.
Let me bring you back to the story then. I responded as raid leader to the suggestion that we should go and farm normal with something that I thought was a reasonable, level-headed suggestion. Mythic Plus is actually considerably easier and more efficient for gearing up than going back to do normal. Even if you just do a weekly key, you'll get a decent upgrade from there. I even noted that we had 2 full raid tanks and that I would be happy to tank any that the main tanks didn't want to do or when there wasn't a tank available. So effectively we had 3 tanks available for our smaller heroic guild to do Mythic Plus with, which was the spec that we lacked in a few previous M Plus nights when the guild tried to organise. I really enjoy doing Mythic Plus, and with small group of tryhards that banded together to do M Plus at the beginning of the expansion, had continued to do our weeklies, and often more throughout. With raid progress being slow, this is how we had geared ourselves. However, the moment the words came from my lips, the moment I released that key on the keyboard suggesting that people do some M Plus on the side to get some extra gear instead of us wasting raid time in normal mode, I instantly received 2 messages. One in the green from Alex in Officer Chat, and one in the pink from Pookie.
I am nothing.
If we are to be gearing for raids, M Plus should take place during raid time. Expecting people to do dungeons outside of raid times is elitist. And that I, not a raid tank, tanking Mythic Plus instead of letting Parno or the other tank do it is toxic to their roles. That's just facts right there. That's facts. That's just hot knowledge. No, you guys need to know. That is fact. Big fact. Look, if you're expecting me to get gear, that's what I'm here at raid time for, right? So if we're going to have to do dungeons, mate, doing it during raid time, yeah? That's when our tanks are there. I literally laughed out loud at my desk. I'm pretty sure I came to Twitch chat while you were streaming to tell you about this. Maybe you did, I can't remember. This must have been the narrative that Parnome had been telling them in that little circle of old people. Old people. The truth was, and my co-writer corroborates this, I was a better M Plus tank. I would plan the routes and the trash I needed to pull and speed it needed to be pulled in order to time the keys. Whereas Parnome has a more classic WoW approach of let's go in and kill the things until the boss has been dead, which resulted in most of the failed keys for our guild. But anyway, let's go back to it. Let's get back. The Jade Fire Masters. They went down the same night as Bronk. Even Opulence was comparatively alright. However, we did run into an issue, and I was not prepared for this moment. A small detail just to convey what I was dealing with Pookie. It's a Resto Druid on Opulence. During the fight, there's a debuff, which is a heavy dot if you move. With our raid size, there would be 2 debuffs per side. Remember, Opulence is split up into 2 groups. The idea we had was that each healer would dispel 1, and we would be fine. Job done. No. Whichever side Pookie was on couldn't do the dispel, and we couldn't work out why. So we asked her. And as she clearly said, there's far too much going on here to expect her to dispel. Her exact reply was something like, I can't dispel here. There are things to move from. So, stupid plan, raid leader. Okay. Dumb fucking plan. The final section I wish to tell you guys about is the section that I've entitled The Guild Killer. The Conclave of the Chosen. So we know where our title comes from. The situation with the raid team had gotten so bad that it was during Conclave progress that I started actively searching for a new guild. Thank you, Jesus. Thank God. It was either that I was going to quit playing WoW. Yes. The events leading up to this It took us 99 pulls to kill the Conclave. On the 25th of March, 2 full months after raid release, we had managed to achieve 5 out of 9 heroic. By the time we downed this boss, our raid had changed from a guild capable of doing the odd mythic boss on a good night to 12 people, which still had to be 3 heals. We decided to do a re-clear for the raid after we killed Conclave for the first time. We could not ever re-kill Conclave. The raid team still just had 2 main healers, which would have been Pinchuk and of course Pookie. 2 raiders who DPS an off-spec heal, me and someone else, but both better healers than Pookie, as you can imagine. With our raid numbers dwindling, we didn't need more than 2 healers. But Pookie's healing had become so bad with the complexity of Battle for Dazzle lore that we had to have a 3rd healer in order to keep running the raid. Mulling over how to 2-heal this fight, enter my co-writer. I don't think that's a name. We'll call Nikia. Nikia decided in the officer chat, Alex, which is Pookie's partner, could you delicately inquire, and that's the phrase, can you delicately inquire whether Pookie would be up for going balance and let one of the other healers switch to a main healer? Okay. Of course, the unspoken yet implied message was that it would be way easier to carry a DPS than a healer, especially with our small raid. Alex replied in officer chat saying, I'm not sure, and I really don't want to get involved, as it's his partner. Makes sense, right? Alex suggests that Nikia should probably ask Pookie directly about that. So, Nikia replied, okay, we'll see how the rest of this raid goes, and the conversation was left there. As it turned out, Mr. I don't want to get involved immediately told Pookie, and she got dramatically upset, immediately logged off TeamSpeak and left the raid. This is a good sign, by the way. We can carry on the raid now. Confused, the officers called the raid early. Why? What the fuck, dude? Why? Fuck that. Go, 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 go. Offline, bummer. Internet must have dropped out. Let's do a pull. Let's do a pull, see what happens. Let's go, go. We called the raid early. Alex then informed us in the officer chat that Pookie said if she wasn't wanted as a healer, then she would rather just not raid.